Good morning, Bitcoiners. I hope you're doing well. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and Ash Wednesday. I don't know if you refer to it as happy. I don't know what you do with the Ash Wednesday as far as greetings. I'm not Catholic, but I always liked it. When I lived in Manhattan, for example, folks would come in with their Ash cross. My office in Manhattan, the old CoinDesk offices, were right next to the church on Fifth Avenue. So the big church that's there. So I got to, everyone was doing it. It wasn't really a big thing in Quebec growing up, despite all the Catholics. So I'm not sure if it's not a French Canadian Catholic thing or not. But I never saw many ash crosses on people's foreheads. Could have been there. I come from the English part of Quebec, so we don't do much Catholic stuff. We're very, very Protestant. But who cares? It's a cool thing, and I like it. And if you're out there celebrating and you've already got your Ash Wednesday thing, very good. I can wish you happy Valentine's Day easily, though. I know what's going on with that one. Daniel, good morning from snowy state of Vermont. I heard you guys got a nor'easter yesterday. Daniel, I try to avoid looking at the weather because it's a type of schadenfreude. Like I take too much pleasure when I see how shitty and cold it can be, which is opening a portal to demon possession. So I don't do that. I stay away from taking pleasure in the difficulty of others. But it was impossible to miss. Everyone was talking about the storm, Daniel. So I do actually slightly envy people who get to live through storms when I'm not in them. I feel like I get a bit of FOMO. It's pretty fun to be stuck in a snowstorm, I'll be honest. T-Dog, good morning all. No coffee today. That's why T-Dog, 40-day fast starts. T-Dog, good on you. I'm a big believer in the fasting for these 40 days. I'm a big believer in the end of Fat Tuesday, which was yesterday. Carnival. Hype, Bitcoin Graffiti says. Tom says, let's accelerate this. Well, we'll go quicker. I'll say good morning's a little fast. I know you're referring to the other accelerate, but indeed, I've taken some time here. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Cal. Good morning from Ethiopia. You'll be in America soon if my calculations are correct, Cal. Welcome. Good morning and good day, Jevy. We are back on Moscow time. We're going to have some good Moscow time today. B for victory. Bomatan. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Indeed. Good morning, Mr. Bond. Yeah, did you like my cover today with old Obama? Bitcoin Graffiti, happy 51K. Did it hit that this morning? I didn't even look. I saw that it's running. I don't want to let you guys know before it's time for the greeting, but indeed, it is running. Good morning. Let's do it, Robert. Joe, good morning, Bitcoin Tabarnak. Indeed, Bitcoin Graffiti. I shouldn't say that out loud. A lot of the Quebecers, it does, it's like the F word. It's a little powerful. I say it flippantly. It shocks Quebecers sometimes because I didn't really understand growing up. I speak perfect French, but culturally, I'm not 100% integrated into French culture. Like I don't watch their TV or anything like that. And I speak French very well, but swear words and stuff, I know them, but I don't know when to use them. So Quebecers have often been shocked when I use those words. Just like we are, Quebecers use the F word casually, in case you didn't know that. So there you go. Greetings, Johnny Midas. Fish sandwiches are on sale now, at least. Indeed, CB. Doing it live with the Breakup crew. We're going to do it live. Let's do it live, Thomas Barrett says. No coffee for fast. I think a lot of people give up one thing. It's like a Lent thing, Austin. That's my understanding, is you give up a thing that you would not want to give up. Like some people just do chocolate. They don't all do fasts. That much about the Catholicism I know, right? I know that much about the Catholicism. I'm going to skip a few here. You were awesome on BTC sessions. Thanks, Greg. Putin not in your veins, Kyle. You're doing it again, Bitcoin Graffiti. Quit making me say French Canadian swear words. Good morning for and from me. Sadly, my boy Peter Schiff needed me to... Well, I'll talk, we're going to talk about some people who are Peter Schiff types today. So wait till we get to there. Glad you hit on Bitcoiner's Guide to NPC Management. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, that was a fun book. Huh? I got another one coming out. I've got the Bitcoiner's Guide to the US Elections 2024. Slightly different than a NPC guide. Slightly different. Giving up fee. Giving up, but it has to be something you like, Edgar. Okay, you can't just get rid of something. It's got to be something that you like. So I don't think fiat counts for Lent. Too easy, too easy. It's supposed to be difficult. Okay, giving up fiat for Lent. Oh gosh. It's my Rue Fleury history, indeed. Bitcoin graffiti. Yeah. Warm and friendly Quebecers will help you out. That's for sure. Anyone who's lived there will have fond memories. Assalamu alaikum. Is Craig Fraud wrong still relevant? No, he never was. He never was. Muslim Bitcoiner, let me give you a historical insight into Craig Wright. You know, he tried to do his publicity stunt on my stage. He tried it at Consensus 2016. All right, go back and look at the dates of when Craig Wright is revealed as Satoshi. The morning of is the morning our show opened, and he timed it so that he could be so that Gavin Andreessen, who is my morning act, would be on stage while he released it, so everyone was talking about it. But I'll give you an insight. Right, this was before there was a huge schism inside of, that was already starting, but it was still just crypto. Everyone knew Bitcoin was the biggest and best, and there was other things. And so that morning I had Gavin Andreessen and Vitalik Buterin. So I had Vitalik on stage, and Vitalik was the doubter, right? Vitalik said, Craig Wright ain't no Satoshi. And he proved it by not falling. Gavin was trying to say, no, I saw the magic trick. Oh, he did a thing. And Vitalik said, you're an idiot. You've been duped. You know how you prove your Satoshi? Spend from the Genesis block. Bang, bang, bang. And he goes, you know how I can tell you I'm Vitalik? Key signing, or, just spending. So, yeah, it was never, we knew before, because he tried to get on our stage. We said, get out of here. You're a scammer. And we knew during, so you could watch it live. No one in the crowd, no one in the room. I spoke with Vitalik the minute he got off stage. I was like, yeah, thanks for doing that, because this shit, we didn't know it would go this far, right? But it was just like some idiot. So it was never relevant. It was never relevant, right? Never. He was always a scammer, and everyone who knew from the beginning. There was never a moment at which we're like, maybe, right? We used to do it as like a joke, right? We used to say, well, just to get it off of our minds, we would say he's the Satoshi we deserve for all the stupid shit we were up to, right? In the industry, this was during the block size wars and everything. So we'd say he's the one we deserve, right? Ryan Selkis came up with that line. It was very funny at the time, right? The Satoshi we deserve. It's very good stuff. All right, before we get to Moscow time, we've digressed for a long time here, and Bitcoin graffiti is right. All you need to know about him is he's a real narcissist, right? And a real son of a bitch. Let's just acknowledge, despite what scammy people say, Bitcoin is still running, right? BSV has nothing to do with it. Bitcoin still running, and the Sunrise tech is just awesome, right? So we got a Bitcoin, we got a Sunrise. All that's left for us to do is have a coffee and talk about what's new. I've never met Fake Toshi, believe it or not. Never met him because he doesn't, like, I only move in real circles. So he never penetrated those. He's never been in, like, if you're going to add up all the insiders in the industry, I'm around that gang, right? I'm backstage. I've been in backstage, behind the lines, on every one of the block size war things. I've seen it all front row. He was never in the room, ever. He's never around anything, right? So never even worried. Calvin Ayre and all these, they're not even like, I don't think at CoinDesk we even covered a single thing they ever did. I don't think you're going to find his name, any of these people in there, for anything but their scams, right? So that's it. So zero credibility. Ready for some Moscow time, guys? We're going to get slow. We're going to get into it slowly, right? This is one of my favorite ones. Now, normally I wouldn't stoop to a college newspaper for Moscow time because it's kind of implicit, right? Like college papers, fake news. But because Harvard is a special case, it's still special, guys. All right. Harvard's still special. All right. But it's for different reasons now. It used to be special because it was like prestigious and you went to Harvard and people were like, wow. Now it's special for different reasons. But they're good. It's a special education place, right? It's very special education. Harvard Crimson writes, now, I don't know if I should point it out, but I think I'm just going to leave it out as a pure Moscow time. I'll let you guys get the punchline here. So an actual newspaper thought this was news, guys. More than 30 pro-Palestinian Harvard students participated in a 12-hour hunger strike in solidarity with students at Brown University doing some BDS divest Israel shit. So 12 hours. Wow. They skipped lunch. It's amazing. This one's good. The Daily Caller. All right. Breaking. A huge blow. Decline in white recruits fueling the military's worst ever recruiting crisis, data shows. Oh, I wonder why. Huh. Surprising. This is great. Okay, I'm going to read out. Janet Yellen gave a press conference yesterday about the inflation stuff, right? The consumer price index. Moscow time today. I've got a few things from people here. Now, this is the kind of stuff that used to make me angry. But now that Mike Benz entered the equation and taught us all about, incentives and what's coming from where and how the machine works, right? The architecture of deceit. Now that we know how the architecture of deceit works, I can only laugh at these things. Like, they're funny, right? So I'm going to do Janet Yellen, Rob Reiner, and some journalists from the Washington Post, and our favorite Peter Zeihan. Okay, so here we go. It's a special edition. These aren't necessarily headlines. They're words from people's mouths. Okay, ready? Janet Yellen. Over the past 3 years, the Biden administration has driven the economic comeback of our lifetimes. Our country has been particularly strong GDP, has seen particularly strong GDP growth, and inflation has cooled sooner and more quickly following the pandemic than in other large advanced economies. The American economy continues to grow. It's growing. Americans have more purchasing power. That's Janet Yellen. Thank you, Janet. There's more purchasing power. Here's Rob Reiner. All right. He made good movies. He made great movies, right? Stand By Me, one of my favorite movies ever made, right? So he's a talented filmmaker. So I used to get mad. I'd be like, how can he make good movies but be stupid? But now I know. Now it's just funny. Ready for Rob Reiner's tweet? This is what he's tweeting yesterday. Ready? Okay, here's the truth. Biden is old, but he's a decent moral person who is incredibly effective at governing. Right? Incredibly effective, guys. Not just effective. He's incredibly effective. Trump is old, but he's a pathologically lying criminal who is incapable of governing and will destroy American democracy. I couldn't do the Munchkin accent, the Munchkin New York. I know I'm not a good I'm not a good New York accent guy. I screw it up too much. Sometimes I get it right, but I'm not great at it. So I decided to drop the New York accent. I do like her New York accent, actually. I love the New York accent. So hers is cool. So they're Rob Reiner, right? All right. Here's Peter Zeihan, whatever you want to call him, right? So what Mike Benz did the forensics on Peter Zeihan. We don't need to take him seriously anymore. He's another one of these people. So we can just accept whatever he writes as comedy. Remember, he said, Bitcoin, I'm afraid, Joe, it's got, what's Bitcoin at? Remember the time he went on the show last year in January? Oh, what's Bitcoin at, Joe? Right? And Joe was like, I don't know. He's like, 12, 13,000. He goes, well, then it's got $12,000, $13,000 to go to drop. It hasn't dropped enough yet, right? I'm Peter Zeihan. That's the way it is, guys. Right, it's the way it is. So he's trying to give you the Bitcoin price predictions last year. Of course, these morons never have to go back on what they said. They never have to check in, was I right or wrong? It doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't matter. So remember, he quit Twitter in December saying, oh, Elon has taken over Twitter. I'm leaving. It used to be great here. Motherfucker never left. He's still out there with this bullshit, right? And so what did he tweet yesterday? Here's what he tweeted, right? At this point, you've all seen or heard about Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin. This was the first time Putin has spoken to an American journalist. He puts journalist in quotes. Peter Zeihan is putting Tucker Carlson's journalist title in quotes. Awesome. Zeihan, you're not invited to Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. The only thing you can use the promo code Space Drop, right? So anyone out there who wants to buy a ticket, you can use promo code Space Drop. But I tweeted back to him that we're going to be doing a little bit of space dropping in the coming years, and psyops are going to equal space drops. So the psyop people are going to be first in line for a trip to space. So, Peter, I got good news for you. You're not coming to Nashville. You can use promo code Space Drop and attend like anyone else. You're not going to be a speaker. But the good news is the next time you hear about space drops, it ain't going to be a promo code, homie. It ain't going to be a promo code. All right. It's going to be different than a promo code. He's not even invited to the human race. No, he's still human. But we got to find out if the type of human he is falls at the same speed as a normal human, right? That's what I'm interested in. That's the kind of science I want, right? I'm into that kind of science. Do all humans fall at the same speed from space? I don't know. I don't know the answer. No one's ever asked. No one's ever found out, right? We've only got that one guy who dropped from space. Everybody watched. We know how fast he fell, right? What is the significance of that guy? I would say he's one of the assets that speaks in enough truth. So, the technique we've talked about before. The technique being you say 9 things out of 10 that are true, so you have some credibility, and then you sprinkle the lie in order. The thing you really want gets hidden within the truth. So Peter made really, really great observations about what will happen when military, how do I explain it? When military costs is the wrong way to put it. When innovation hits military and changes the equation and cost of violence, right? So he had a very perceptive understanding of that. And I think the book he wrote was like Missing Superpower or something like that. And it actually resonated with a lot of Bitcoiners because it sort of went into the same logic as Sovereign Individual, basically that military and centralized armies won't have the capacity for American hegemony anymore. So he was known to have an argument that I've learned a lot about China and stuff from him over the years. But as I went on, I started to understand it was not, most of the Chinese shit was bullshit, right? And it took me, maybe a Jason Lowery kind of take. I don't have my guns trained on Jason Lowery to know if that's true, but I understand what people say about Jason Lowery, and that it's a similar thing. Yeah, that you can't. Some of the stuff is dangerous, the lies, and the truth becomes tainted and difficult to accept with his case. So he'd be someone who I would say I spoke innocently about with Bitcoiners in the 2017, 2018 period. He's the guy who imagined what the world looks like where American aircraft carriers are no longer effective. So anytime you hear me talking about that, I mostly learned that from him. So, so the Daniel says here, either Gelman amnesia, which I doubt, or blackmail victim. I'm leaning towards blackmail victim. That's what I see. I see a blackmail victim. I see a captive hostage, and I see the book publishing. That's what Ben's gone into. That book that I just described to you sounds like it was a Mockingbird situation. So I don't know. I just don't know. Here's another one. All right. So this is the Washington Post writer saying Elon Musk is now urging Americans to contact members of Congress to urge them not to support Ukraine funding. This spending does not help Ukraine. Having all those boys die for nothing is wrong and it needs to stop. That's Elon Musk's quote. Shameful stuff. This guy says it's shameful. It's shameful. It's shameful. Elon Musk is shameful, right? Shameful. Imagine telling Ukrainians fighting to protect their families and their towns they are dying for nothing. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. It's going to work, right? Yeah, Gordon Chang type opposite. Maybe CB. Yeah. In the end, you got to guess at a lot of this stuff, but he had a few predictions about China that were being used as propaganda. Yeah. That's what I saw. And I've since tried to forget everything I learned from the guy. Some of it, like the aircraft carrier stuff, I can't help. So Washington Post failing, Janet Yellen failing, Rob Reiner failing, Peter Zeihan failing. It's not going well, right, for these guys. This is a good one. So they had the vote in the Senate, and then that's for the Ukraine funding, and now it's in the House. The House says it's dead. We don't know. The whole thing's corrupted. I doubt it's dead, right? Who can trust these motherfuckers? So here's what the Washington Post writes. This is analysis from Aaron Blake. All right. This is a good one. The 70 Senate votes for the Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan funding bill. Listen to that. The Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan funding bill. The Senate votes for the Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan funding bill reinforces how this has strong bipartisan support. It's strong. Didn't you guys know? Everyone in America wants this. Everybody. Why aren't we listening to our representatives? Everyone wants it, right? And then he asks, can the House really refuse to act? So good. So good. Okay, I got a couple awesome Biden did a thing again where he went on TV yesterday. He keeps doing it. It's so good. We'll talk about that in a second. So he went in to talk about this vote and NATO and everything, right? So Biden contemns. So, and he went and talked about, the fake hoax where Trump says that he wants Russia to attack Europe. That's the one they're going with now, right? They're going to try and make this real. And they got to play it straight, right? So he goes, Biden condemns Trump NATO's comments. It's dumb, it's shameful, it's dangerous, it's un-American. Then he says, history is watching. Failure to support Ukraine in this critical moment will never be forgotten. So good. So good. And Politico asked about that. Trump advisors rush to spin off the cuff NATO remarks. Could you imagine? Trump's advisors are like, oh, Trump, the Washington Post is writing articles about you in NATO. You got to change your mind. That's what they're trying to say here. His advisors are rushing. Trump, President, you said something bad about Mitch McConnell and NATO. Oh my goodness. What if this gets out? we gotta put a lid on it. It's too good. It's too good. There was a few more of Politico, right? They're trying to ask if this is the new way of dealing with Biden is too old. All right. So here it is. Politico, Biden versus Trump. The battle over who's too old, too forgetful, or too confused. So it's not that Biden's fucked up, okay? It's not that. It's that who's more fucked up? Is it Trump or Biden? Oh goodness. It's great. Oh yeah, here's a good one. So we're not going to find out because it turns out that that the president has to do a physical every year, right? The president's got to go do a physical. And for the first time ever, the White House is going to drop the cognitive exam from the physical, right? They're not related. It's not because Biden won't pass it. That's what they're saying, right? Karine Jean-Pierre says, no, it's just we're not doing it this year, right? So Fox News says Biden's upcoming physical exam will not include a cognitive test. Sounds legit. We're fine. Nothing to wonder about here. And there's another one here about there's one where they're trying to get Kennedy now, right? Where they're doing a Kennedy thing. Now it's that DNC complaint, and they're trying to make it sound like Kennedy gets secret money from somewhere, right? So here's the headline: the mystery behind the $10 million of bridge funding, and they put that in quotations, bridge funding, supporting RFK Jr.'s presidential bid, right? He's a criminal. All right. So I got two more here. They're not really fake news. We're going to blend into our theme for today with Russia with love. But it's really about persuasion and really about, who's winning the persuasion fight. So I'll start. So there's a few things you'll notice recently about Biden. So yesterday he went in and tried to do another one of these. It wasn't a press conference. He delivered remarks. Just angry man. It was just angry. He was yelling. It sounded exactly as dementia-filled as we've seen him lately. You get a bit of clips, but you don't get a sense of the actual anger, right? So what you see there is the anger of a normal dementia person. He doesn't have all of his weapons. He doesn't have all of his faculties. And you see the normal frustration that comes out. And everything he said sounded angry. He was doing his big righteous, I'm super angry stuff again, but it all came across as just low energy, unhinged, old man yelling at the sky. So it was a failure. It didn't persuade anyone. It's a zero, right? It's a total zero. He couldn't have convinced you to take, he couldn't have given you money at that point. He was so angry. Like, it was so difficult to persuade anyone about anything in the state that he was in. It fell flat, right? No matter how many people try to carry water for him with that kind of anger, it's not going to work, right? But it fits a theme that I've seen since that report came out about him being vegetable brain, right, last week. And what we see is the Super Bowl ad, right, with shrinkflation, absolutely rock bottom stupid, like one of the dumbest things you've ever seen, right? And then he did another one yesterday where he did a video of him talking about community public schools with, you got to give the race of the people because it was relevant for what he was orchestrating, I think. He's sitting with Black people, African Americans, and they're all eating fried chicken together. Okay, they're all eating fried chicken together. Now, it is a stereotype in America, for those of you who are not from America, to know that it's a thing, right? People say African Americans love fried chicken. Now, I don't know if it's exactly true or where this thing came from. I eat fried chicken like crazy. I love fried chicken. So you can absolutely eat fried chicken and not have anything to do with this, kind of a joke. It's a stereotype, but it's friendly-ish. It's not like a mean thing, right? As far as I can gather, it's just sort of like white people like cheese, right? You ever asked a Black African American what their stereotypes are about white people? One of them is that they like cheese. Y'all like cheese. Never thought of it, but it's true, right? Y'all like cheese. Y'all like cheese a lot, right? So it's totally true. So it doesn't bother me, right? If anyone out there takes offense from the chicken meme, I don't know what to say. Watermelon would be, watermelon is the other one, right? Watermelon is the other one. So, I mean, a lot of Americans understand this. I'm just trying to make sure our global audience of Bitcoiners have some context for what's going on. So Joe Biden goes in front of cameras and he's recorded eating fried chicken with Black people. Now, in and of itself, not a bad idea. But if you were a serious, legitimate political orchestrator, right, you would never have allowed that, right? You would never have allowed the shrinkflation video. You probably would have never allowed him to do the thing yesterday, right? You can't really let him out in public alone without many handlers and messaging and coordination. It looks like that's gone. So people are picking up on how embarrassing it is. Brett Weinstein says, yes, this is embarrassing at multiple levels. So this is Biden trying to eat the fried chicken with these folks, right? People are talking about it, right? They just posted a clip of Joe Biden eating fried chicken and talking basketball with Black people. Brett Weinstein says this is embarrassing at multiple levels, but it may also tell us something important. Either it's designed to this is the important part, right? Either it's designed to mislead us into thinking Biden still intends to run, okay? Or there are two factions in the DNC cabal, those pushing Biden out and those working to keep him in. What I see here, and I think this is what Brett Weinstein is saying, Scott Adams said it yesterday too, what it looks like is Biden is being cast aside, that the handlers, the professionals who would have avoided these kinds of embarrassing situations are not helping anymore. What I see consistent between eating fried chicken with Black people, talking about you're not getting enough snacks, the cookies are too expensive and they're too small, and you're not getting enough candy for your money, right? The guy who thought that was good was Joe Biden. I think they're now operating as if Joe Biden is trying to be the president again. Like he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, right? But it ain't working. And I think that he's being left to hang out here. I think he's being left out to dry. I think he's being abandoned. So I told you already last summer that was the case. So between last summer when he went on vacation, right, and then he came back, and that's when Gavin Newsom said, looks like they got to move faster. He said that was his criticism of it, right? That sounded like someone giving a complaint that they didn't get the promotion they wanted. That's what I said here on the breakup last summer. That's what I said was happening. So the the debate perhaps that's happening inside the DNC is there are people. Now think about it. They asked him, it was probably Jill, it's probably his close family members that asked him last summer, hey man, like I don't think this is going to work, right? And you could imagine, because he's got to protect his son and he's got to do this and he's got to do that, that he had to stay in the fight. He doesn't really have a choice, right? Much like Trump, both of them are bound by the election and their fates will be sealed by what happens in 2024 in many instances. So when you think about it from that point of view, and you think about, well, what's happened since? Probably many other people have asked Joe to step down, and he probably said no to each of them. It's probably gotten to the point where you can't actually even ask him anymore because he'll give you the same angry treatment he gave Trump last night on that press conference, just yelling and screaming and pissing himself, shitting himself. People have probably seen him in a million compromising positions since then and are mostly convinced he can't get to the finish line. So what I think you have here is an abandonment of his support. I predicted last summer that it was already happening, and then I didn't think he'd make it to Christmas because one of the ways out here is, right, because I don't think he's going to accept what's coming. He's not going to step down. Now, the interesting thing about his life or death is that some people, Brett Weinstein included, Michael Malice included, are starting to speculate that the dark horse candidate is not Big Mike. Big Mike ain't going to happen, right? I've told you a million times. Big Mike not happening. Okay, Big Mike not running. Big Mike doesn't want to hear about Big Mike, and I don't think Big Mike is a man. I don't think so. But it's not. No one wants to be involved in that. Everyone says Big Mike hates politics. It's not going to happen, right? So after Big Mike, who do you have? You got Newsom, right? Newsom, what's he going on for, right? What's his plan? Selling California to America? That ain't going to work. No one's going to buy it. Plus, he's a dude, right? Plus, he's a white dude. That ain't going to work, right? And Kamala is in line. So you got a black woman in line who's ready to serve, apparently, and you're going to put a white guy in there? I don't know. You might as well just go and say you love Israel, because it ain't going to work, right? It ain't going to work. But Michael Malice and others have opened the possibility. Now, I don't know if it's for sure, but the simulation wants it to be so. The story writers want it to be so. So I think this scenario, and here's what it is. It's Brett Weinstein saying, a little voice in my head has been nagging me to rethink. So Brett Weinstein already notices that there's a faction and division inside the DNC around Biden and what's going on going forward. Then he observes, a little voice in my head has been nagging me to rethink the DNC's predicament, given the fact of Hillary Clinton. Michael Malice convinced me that Hillary Rodham Clinton replacing Biden on the ticket is not only plausible, but may even be likely. Color me spooked. Now, wouldn't that be the most entertaining outcome? Because truthfully, in the days after the 2020 election, when it was stolen and we had a feeling it was stolen and everyone around was saying scam, fraud, what's going on? I accepted Biden won immediately, and I still do, right? I don't know how we did it, but I saw the scam. Now, as a Bitcoiner, I know that we never really had an election in 2020, right? We pretended we did, but there was no confirmation. If you can't audit it, did you have an election? No, of course not. Every Bitcoiner knows that, right? If you're dealing with a distributed system, a counting database, a ledger that counts inputs, and there's no way to audit the inputs, there is no database. There isn't. Tell Bitcoiners, a transaction happened with zero confirmations. Did it happen? Did a transaction happen? Of course not. Of course, Bitcoiners all understand this, right? The engineering of the Bitcoin system transposes directly onto an election system. So Bitcoiners understand what really happened. Now, he won the scammy system, right? He won it. Biden won the scammy system. Whatever way you want to say he won it, right? Count the cheating. You got to count the cheating, right? So he won it with the cheating counted. But when this was all going on, where I backed myself up to intellectually and, where I was simple. I said, it'll only be over when we're able to talk about the 2016 election openly, when we're able to talk about Russia collusion openly, when we can have a conversation in America about what really happened with Obama and Hillary and Trump. Then we'll get over this 2020 thing. But until then, this is it, right? It's just two realities. We've been separated into two groups, and we disagree on the very nature of reality, not just that these things are going on. And you can still see it, right? You could still see Republicans think like the border is really important, or the economy is really important, or not sending money to Ukraine is really important. Whereas the other side, the Democrats, just believe the news. That's it. That's their political opinion is I believe the news. The news said, that's my political opinion. So we're not dealing with people who disagree on principles or policies. We're dealing with people who have questions and people who have mental illness induced by brainwashing and psyops. That's it. That's the situation in America. We are dealing with mentally ill people who think the news is real and is there to help them and inform them. Right? That's not what we're dealing with at all. Not even close. So here's what happened yesterday that makes me think the Hillary thing is going to happen. And everything that I just said about the 2020 election is going to be the actual context of the 2024 election, that the 2024 election is going to go back to the 2016 election and eventually back to the 1960 election, right? That's the Kennedy connection, and where we start to understand that the president is not the president anymore, right? The last president might have been Eisenhower, and we haven't had one since. Well, Kennedy, but he didn't finish his mandate, right? Nixon tried, it didn't work out. But here's what we found out yesterday, right? So remember, the simulation is winking here. Hillary is coming back onto the scene, right? And Tommy's been saying, I've been saying Hillary for a long time. It's the only one that makes sense. It really is, right? When you actually stop and add it all up, she can replace Kamala because she's Kamala's main sponsor, right? If you didn't know that, then you're missing out on part of the story. She's like the coach, right? Low talent, so it didn't work out, but she tried to turn Kamala into her project. Most of Kamala's original campaign was Hillary holdovers. So that was Hillary's vector into this administration. But here's what we see. So Schellenberger came out yesterday and showed that the Russia collusion story, right? Now, some people say we already knew this, but he says the Russia collusion story goes back to Obama. And here's what he writes. He says, CIA had foreign allies spy on Trump team, triggering Russia collusion hoax, sources say. United States intelligence community targeted 26 Trump advisors for foreign spy agencies to reverse target and bump. So what he's saying here is that, and then people said this already happened, right? Michael Schellenberger says, there are people in the replies suggesting that we already knew this. No, we didn't. And no, you didn't. Only a tiny number of people knew about this until now. And as we note in our story, if the top secret documents exist proving these charges, they are potentially proof that multiple U.S. intelligence officials broke laws against spying and election interference. This is a massive scoop that upends what people know about the origins of the Russia collusion hoax. Laura Logan writes, Schellenberger is right. There has never been anything like this in the history of America. It dwarfs Watergate and every other scandal combined. This is the real seditious conspiracy that they have been covering up, and it is ongoing. Well done to Schellenberger and Taibbi. Huge story and absolutely fundamental to accountability and justice. This country will never recover without the whole truth about this. One of the greatest crimes ever. Again, exactly what I said in November 2020. I was talking to a dear friend of mine, an American friend, a Trumper from the beginning like me, a Bitcoiner like me, and we're sitting there saying, what the fuck? Like, now, again, I had already abandoned America. I knew from August that it was going to be a scammy election in 2020. I didn't want to be around for any of it. I had seen enough of the summer of love in New York City to get the F out of Biden's America. I wasn't sticking around there. I'm the guy who moved to America basically when Trump got elected, and I left when he lost. That's it. That was my experience living in America. I still own a home and still go a lot, but I don't spend a lot of my time there. And the place I live in is very rural and filled with guns because that's how you got to live in America now, right? So the story going back to the election and the scam of 2016 has actually all the pieces to understand the degree to which America is corrupted and how to get out of our troubles, right? That's why I said it back then. And that's why people are bringing up this concept of and Kennedy's doing it, right? And it's something that we saw from the Putin-Tucker interview. Who's in charge, right? Who's in charge? Kennedy asks, we have a right as the American people to know that our president is actually leading the country and somebody else is not. There are so many special interests now in DC, big financial interests that are trying to manipulate the political process. Those interests would just assume have a president with cognitive deficits because it enlarges their power, which is what we've been saying, right? The reason why he's president is because he's mentally ill. That's it, right? Much easier to control that way, much easier. So, but now we got to get back into the persuasion game, right? So now we know it's confirmed the leader of the free world is nothing of the sort, right? That wasn't in our ideas back then. Obama was not in charge in his time either, right? So the closest thing was Trump, but he was never able to gain enough power to actually stop these people. So he was not in control. He was not being controlled by these people, but he didn't have the toolkit the president is supposed to have. He had something else. So, but here's where things get really, really fun, right? Really fun. Going back to the 2016 time, just look at how much the world has changed since 2016. Now, what I see is a group of people who ran a play in 2016 and it worked. And they had to run something a little different in 2020 and it worked. But now they got to do it again. And remember, this whole system requires, just like fiat money, it requires, as is fiat is based on government words, right? It's declarations. Those words need to be propagated, and that's the media's job. The media does what Bitcoin miners do. They propagate the network forward, right? They're a network propagation tool. They're called networks, and they do propaganda, and propaganda is how it propagates. So they propagate with propaganda. But here's where things are so different. Look at how much smarter we are. First of all, you get Newsbusters, right? Newsbusters is doing one of those compilation clips, right? The compilation clips where you just see lines being, talking points being disseminated through the sludge, where you can see who's in control because someone wrote the word and then the word gets propagated through the network. That word right now, according to Newsbusters, is gratuitous. So you can see the machine. You can actually see the architecture of deceit. The compilation shows all of these expert talking heads on every one of the networks, on CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, NPR, and it goes through them all. And every one of them is talking about the mental decline story in this, and they're all running cover, and they're all using the word gratuitous. So that's the signature. That's literally like key signing the propaganda, right? So we can recognize now signatures in propaganda. We weren't able to do that before. And you can see it, right? They're all saying the leftist media are once again parroting the White House by calling the DOJ report exposing Biden's mental decline gratuitous. Gratuitous, gratuitous, gratuitous. You can see it in every one of the videos. Same word, same word. So this thing is running out of steam, right? That's one of their big plans, to send people out there like that. Now, the network news itself can't handle this stuff, right? You get CBS News laid off 800 more people yesterday. That follows NPC News. All these big networks, the business model is weakening. So 2016 is already being undercut by the capacity of these networks to propagate it forward. You saw it in Canada. Why do you think Trudeau lost his mind this week and called CTV News firing all these people a garbage decision? It's a garbage decision, right? Well, because they're not going to be propagating his network anymore, right? He's losing hash power. They're losing hash rate at a rate we've never seen in mainstream media. And as Bitcoiners, that's how we should recognize it. This is literally like the fiat system. They don't use hash rate, right? But it's the same thing. The capacity of the network to propagate and secure itself is diminishing at space drop speeds, right? 9.8 meters per second squared. Now, of course, I know what the speed of gravity is. I'm just having some fun with wondering, because we got to test it. I don't know if people full of shit fall at the same speed. They say so in physics, but I don't know. I want to find out. We got to run it, right? Let's see if Zihan and brainless Biden fall at the same speed. We've been told by physics for sure. I want to know if it's true, okay? Sue me, all right? I want to know if it's true. So CBS News went out and fired a bunch of people yesterday. One of the names, it was a bloodbath, they say, right? 800 jobs. But here's the fun one, all right? Here's the fun one they fired, okay? They fired the only journalist covering the Hunter Biden story. Remember Catherine Herridge? She's the one who actually got the forensic auditors to look into the Hunter Biden laptop and proved it was real and told the fake news, hey, it was real. They shouldn't have censored that before the election, right? And they've had a lot of problems with that since. So Schellenberger and everyone noticing that she's one of the people they canned yesterday, right? So CBS News was one of the most respected names in journalism. That's no longer the case. Today it fired Catherine Herridge, who is facing financial ruin and even prison for protecting her sources. Herridge is a hero. CBS execs have behaved cowardly. Shame on them. Shadow of Ezra writes, Catherine Follow the Pen Herridge, whose name is referenced in at least 15 Q drops, has reportedly been terminated by CBS. Less than 2 months ago, she mentioned that 2024 might see a black swan event representing a high-impact national security occurrence that is extremely challenging to predict. So Catherine Herridge got fired, which is amazing. And weirdly, the same day, you had more insight into Tony Bobulinski, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. Apparently, according to the depositions that they have, Joe Biden is now confirmed as the big guy. Right? We've all known that. Benny Johnson writes here, Hunter Biden's former business partner is now blowing the whistle on the Biden family corruption scene. He did that before. In his opening statement before House Oversight, Tony Bobulinski went on record to say Joe Biden's family took tens of millions of business transactions from foreign adversaries, including the CCP, Russia, Ukraine, and more. Joe Biden and his family and associates facilitated a $9 billion transaction between Russia and China involving Qatar. Hunter Biden used his father to extort money from the CEFC, a surrogate of the CCP. Joe Biden is compromised asset of the CCP via his business relationship with CEFC. Met with the chairman over there. Hunter received money, blah, 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 blah. It's all the same shit, right? So they're saying impeach him now. Now, we can say impeach him. They tried to impeach what's his shit yesterday. Mayorkas, it worked, but it's now got to go to the Senate, right? So the Department of Homeland Security is not going to work, right? But again, it comes down to who you're believing and where your information sources are coming from. So now that they don't have the same kind of envelope and seal that they can put around and contain all arguments, now that things fall out, and now that they don't really even have the node propagation to get on top of this and push it forward, information sources are becoming more important than ever, right? And so information sources are helping in this fight, helping in this battleground. And that's why when you see things like the mainstream news losing capacity, it's really heartening for Bitcoiners because there's less opposition to us just totally filling the vacuum. Look at how many people we've created that do authentic, organic type journalism, like this show, right? Like this show. And that's becoming more and more persuasive. And the case in point happened last night, unrelated. Let's forget politics, everything for 1 second, right? Let's just forget it all like it never happened. Yesterday, another really cool thing happened, which was Zuckerberg, right? Mark Zuckerberg. So forget the politics, forget that you hate Zuck, forget all that for a second, right? Zuckerberg yesterday did a video on his glasses, criticizing the Apple glasses, right? So Zuckerberg came out yesterday criticizing the Apple glasses, and he filmed his video like an Instagram post with someone in his model of glasses. I forget what they're called. The what's it called again? The Quest, right? So he comes in and he gives it like a really, it sounded very genuine, very organic, very authentic review of the Apple glasses versus his own, right? So he just said, like, just to give you a sense of how he came down, right? He says, ours is much cheaper. It's better for gaming. He was surprised it was better. Like he thought the Apple one was going to be way ahead. But here's what Greg Eisenberg says, right? My biggest takeaway, the future of ads feels like this Instagram post. This is real. No marketing talk. Just saying it as it is. Zuck's Apple Vision Pro feels like I'm listening to a tech reviewer, not a guy worth $165 billion. I feel like I'm having a conversation in a living room with my friend Mark. You feel his enthusiasm, right? And he says, it reminds me of the Kanye Super Bowl ad. The guy spent $7 million and took a 30-second selfie video. Highly effective. He sold $19 million of product within 24 hours of that video. So my point is, if you're creating an ad, more living room, less high budget. Be real. what are we doing here? I got nothing. All right. So the point is the persuasive capacity of low quality, low tech quality, high resonance arguments is now starting to become more powerful than the thing that Tim Apple did to produce his thing with all the big flashy uh, release and advertising and this and that, right? The thing is way more expensive than Zuck's. Now go back and wonder, right? Would Steve Jobs still be doing his old-fashioned product releases? No, no. You know that Steve Jobs would take a tip from Zuckerberg here and would probably be the most authentic product releaser you've ever seen. He would have totally changed his format, I believe. Now, I'm just guessing, but I believe as the greatest marketer of his generation would have completely changed his format and would not have done the Tim Apple thing and just copied what Steve Jobs was doing 20 something years ago. So we're in a world now where this kind of low production value allows for more credibility and authenticity and is no longer a mark against you. We can persuade more people just getting together with coffee like this in the morning, laughing at the fake news, talking about Bitcoin, than all those networks combined, simply because no one believes it anymore. And if you believe it, it's because that's actually your political opinion. Your political opinion is you believe the news, which is not an opinion. It's just NPC operating system, which is not really a concern for us, right? In the end, the NPCs are only so powerful. In the end, the NPCs do have a limit to their power, and the limit to their power is suffering from listening to these news sources. And in the end, you'll end up, this went viral yesterday. It's the Wall Street Journal. Look at what happens when these NPCs start to realize that their information sources are cancer and causing all these troubles, right? This is Kenneth MD, and it went kind of viral yesterday. He lives in Minnesota, so maybe if anyone in our Minnesota audience lives near Woodbury, Kenneth could probably use a bit of Bitcoin enthusiasm right now, because this is what he writes. I was a college student when I read Mr. Ulrich's The Population Bomb. I took it to heart and now have no grandchildren, but 50 years later, the population has increased to 8 billion without dire consequences. I was gullible and stupid, right? And, it sucks to admit that, but that's what's going on, right? That's what's going on. And people are going to wake up and realize they're gullible and stupid. And I think that Trump-Russia collusion is going to be a huge bomb in the minds of people that will make them realize they were dumb, gullible, and stupid. Not everyone, but it happens more and more frequently. And the ability to keep people on the plantation is limited, right? Because they just don't have the bandwidth anymore. So what we saw from, even the border stuff. I mean, have you guys seen this story? I don't know if it's true. But this Lakewood church shooter, right? Just watch how the simulation is winding up here for something big, I think. Sarah Gonzalez. So I guess have you seen all these shooters that are trans? I mean, it's crazy, right? It's one after the other. So another one happened in a church, and I guess it was a boy who says they're a girl and is a girl afterwards, I guess. I don't know. Sarah Gonzalez, I don't think that's the person's real name. But here's what we found out, right? So here's the simulation winking. So this person went to a church, opened fire this weekend. Eric Abinante writes, Sarah Gonzalez with a bomb. Oh, no, sorry. It's not Sarah Gonzalez. Sorry. No. My mistake. I was just reading the first name. Not Sarah Gonzalez. That's the person with the story. Janice Marino, who's Jeffrey Escalante. I don't know these names. So Sarah Gonzalez, pardon me, is running the show and is exposing this. So excuse me I do not want to say Sarah Gonzalez is a trans murderer, okay? So my mistake. So what we found out is that this person was actually detained by ICE before. They're from El Salvador, right? So this is the simulation going nuts here. They're from El Salvador. They became trans. And it turns out that there is a voting record. This shooter, who's not an American citizen, is from El Salvador, voted in the 2020 election, it turns out. So I don't know if that's true, I don't know if Sarah Gonzalez is correct about this. I don't know if Eric Abinante is correct in citing Sarah Gonzalez. But if we're gonna go with simulation winking, an El Salvadorian mass shooter, illegal immigrant who voted in the 2020 election is as dense packet all the story information into one nut as you can get. Right? It's kind of perfect. Hate that people have to die for things to happen, but that's where we're at. So I think we're going to find out that the 2016 election interference was very real. It led to the 2020 election interference. I think we're going to find out we haven't had elections in decades. We haven't had elections in decades. And Bitcoiners are going to be the ones who help Americans understand this. So 2024 is our year to be involved in the political system in order to destroy it. We're not going to perpetuate it. It's not going to go forward. We're going to rip Washington, D.C. right out of the ground, and the world will be different. So we'll see. I think we're winning. I think we're well on our way. Let's see what the folks over on Rumble are saying. Let's see what the Rumble folks are saying. All right, Rumblers. What's the rumbling? Oh, I got a big audience. Hoo-wee. A few hundred people over there. Sluggo, good afternoon, Rumblers. Sluggo writes, watching Russell Brand and Tucker Carlson converse at Russia's palace. What a wonderful friendship they've evolved. It's exclusive on Russell's place. Okay, I know I missed all that. Yeah. What a wonderful friendship they've evolved. Exclusive on Locals. I'll check that out. I've got Locals. Moscow time, indeed. French fry, getting the single out. Thank God for Bitcoin. That's what I'm saying. Good morning, crew. Best morning show, period. Thanks, Martinez. VHC, good morning from Erie, Pennsylvania. Bitcoin is over $51,000. Hope it continues. It's going up forever, VHC. Up forever. Good to see you all today, Bitcoiners, Lance says. I hunger striked bravely all through the night. Sluggo, did you get your 12 hours? But did you wake up early like a racist? I don't know. Tucker, of all media people, is characterized as journalists. What a clown world. Yeah. So good. Lance says, I love fried chicken. Who doesn't? Lance also says, Trump has made huge gains with blacks and Hispanics. The Democrats are hemorrhaging their votes. That's why they need new immigrant voters. That's it. Yeah. If the car is broken, is a driver change enough? Am I saying the new trans shoulder is the... I don't know who Gavrilo Principe is, Bitcoin Graffiti. It is a weird story. I don't know if it's true. I don't know what's going on with the trans shooter at the church in Texas. I just saw what some credible people that I follow on Twitter said. But that's the best I can do for now. We need to have a new system. In my opinion, Trump is the best choice for the old system, but we need a new system. Don, you know what? I've said that for a while. Oh, he killed Franz Ferdinand. Oh, there you go. Yes. Yeah. Isn't it funny? Yeah. It's neat, huh? Like in such a weird way. Something's up over there. Something's going on though. I don't know what it is, but Don Boley, that's sort of how I got my mind around Trump 2020. As it was being stolen, like I always say, I voted for Biden 5 times, which is not true. I didn't vote for anyone. And I'm not American, so I didn't do the illegal voting. I should have. But what I tell Democrats all the time is that I voted for Biden 5 times because if they get it, it's funny, right? So, but I indeed was sent 5 ballots to my house without a single eligible voter there, right, in Brooklyn. 5 ballots. So that's why I say I voted 5 times. But it's a scam. But the point is, Don, that's sort of how I rationalized it in a lot of ways. Like, because in August 2020, I knew it was going to be a scam, right? I didn't know how the scam was going to work out. But what I said already then was like Biden was better for Bitcoin because he would destroy the dollar. And to me, that was kind of what I wanted. So that's why I had no problem with Biden winning 2020. It was an acceleration thing, right? So once you really get accelerationism, Biden or Fetterman is pretty much your only choice for president. There's no real other people in the accelerationist point of view, right? Trump 2016 was accelerationist. Trump 2020 was not. Trump 2020, it was a problem because he would have pumped the US trash token too much and it would have been too credible. We'd had a problem, all right? It'd have delayed hyper-Bitcoinization. We didn't want that. So at a certain point, you got to go through it. So losing the way Trump did was better for Bitcoin. And I think for America, because accelerationism needed. Now, Trump 2024 is going to be accelerationist because he's got Vivek with him. And Vivek is going to get him on board. Again, all Trump needs to do is say, I'm a fan. And we win. Literally, World War III is over. If Trump were to tweet, I am a fan of Bitcoin, and that's it, game over. We win. It's literally game over. We win. I look forward to it, right? I look forward to it. Trump Ramaswamy 2024, indeed. 4 a.m. talking points. Rush Limbaugh uncovered this decades ago. Gravitas referring to Dick Cheney running of Bush Jr.'s administration as the VP in 2000. Yeah. We are dealing with demons. No kidding. Great day all. No fear. Peace. Nostr is nice, Morand says. Sluggo says, Nostr is highly overrated. Thank God for Musk taking over at the helm of Twitter after the spineless Jack Dorsey. Sluggo, I don't totally agree with the Jack Dorsey thing. I think Jack is a typical CEO and just literally didn't know what was going on. I think things were kept from him. So I hold no ill will towards Jack Dorsey. Not just because he's a Bitcoiner. That's the difference. I've met him. I've hung out with him. I don't suspect he's on the other team. Okay, he's not. Now, I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know his sensibilities, who's blackmailing him. I don't know any of that stuff. But what I can tell you, and I can be fooled. I've gotten this stuff wrong before, right? I'm not the infallible judge of character. But my sense is, and I've never been proven wrong, just a typical out-of-touch CEO, as all CEOs are, unless your name is Elon Musk. Very, very typical, right? But that doesn't change what I have a lot of adulation for Musk and what he's done. So I respect Musk more than Jack, if that means anything. So there you go. Vivek's tweet yesterday makes me think he may switch camps if Trump doesn't comply with this. Nah, never, Dave. No. Vivek's just a negotiator. He's gonna. I didn't see the tweet, but he already got what he wanted. Ronna McDaniels being fired was a Vivek negotiating sign, right? Because that was part of his nomination campaign. I don't think he ever leaves Trump's side. So there you go. Yeah, I saw Jack with his Satoshi. He had his Satoshi t-shirt on that's the second year in a row he's done that. Huh? He doesn't change. Musk could die tomorrow. What now? Yeah. Sarah Gonzalez is a pretty good journalist. I don't think she made something up. She's got the receipts. I'm pretty sure she's pretty honest from what I've seen. Jack, one-man army burden. Yeah, me too. I didn't see anything that I don't know enough about her. I mean, I'm not just gonna. She might have got it wrong. I don't think she's out there lying. Right? That's not. I don't think that. We'll wait. We need more time. If he dies tomorrow, I would be very worried. I would cry. I think X is that important right now. Yeah, I would be a major blow. It would be very bad news. Kamala Gavin care about us. Mail-in voting required, friend. Yeah. All right. Only currency is gold. Jana Suzanne. Blessings, peace to you, my family of truth seekers, my big family of the grapes of wrath. Yeah. You know the song Glory, Glory, Hallelujah? It was the battle hymn of the Republic, it was called. And that's where the book Grapes of Wrath got its title, also from the Bible. And the exact line was, glory, glory, hallelujah. And it was something where the grapes of wrath are sown. One of my favorite lines is Jesus died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, and the truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. I came to the writer of that in a dream. That song was written in a dream. One of the best. One of the best. One of the original like American pop songs. It became a hit. Became a hit. All right. That's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got. Okay, everyone. Have a great day. Huh? Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Ash Wednesday. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow is